Yeah, snow. What's that smell I kept saying?
And it was so flimsy because it was just not very well made. And through the years, we chased whoever we can possibly meet. We met Cactus Jack. He was one of the people on Shark Tank who got a deal. We ran into him at the same show, and I went over. I'm like, "How'd you do it? Who'd you see? How? What? Who'd you call? What's the phone number? Who do I email?" Like whoever we could meet, we tried to ask for help. And no one really helped, but they all said, "Sure, I can help you. Sure, I can help you." And it really wasn't until I was watching Shark Tank at home, and some people hate Mr. Wonderful, but to me he was so wonderful, even though he was on TV and I was at home, but we had a really good relationship. He said, "Have you been to a trade show?" "What? What's a trade show?" "A trade show. Babe, I found a trade show. It's $2,500. You're taking the money out of the kids' college fund, we're going."
We never did that. We took out of a 401k, actually.
But I thought, this is it. He invented this thing in college. Now it's, what, 14 years later, and he still doesn't know whether or not it's marketable. Does somebody want to buy it? Is it going to sell? This was the trade show for us to go and show it to people, especially retailers walking by, and get a feel. If these people say no, that's it. You're done. If the people say yes, then you move forward, right? The best thing you guys have to do with your products is go ask somebody, right? If you don't ask, then you don't have anything if you don't ask. And if you ask, they might say no, and you still don't have anything. But at least you asked, and that's what we did. We went and we asked. And we were at a trade show. We were there. We were at a different trade show this week, right?
Yeah.
And you saw people just sitting in their booth. And we would walk by, and like no one would stop us. And the people we got to talk to, and the people we shot for our YouTube channel, are the ones that grabbed us. So what we did when we went to the show is we were in the middle of the aisle. If you could ever get to go to a show, you go in the middle of the aisle, and somebody walks by and says, "Hi, let me show you my invention." I chased Home Depot down an aisle because I didn't get a chance to stop him.
We're fortunate that we're both in sales. I'm believe it or not, I'm introverted unless it's my money, so my business. When it comes to this stuff, I can talk. When I'm not here, I want to be with my kids and be left alone. So Karina would go grab people and then pipeline me. I would give them the booth, and I would be doing demos and trying to understand feedback, et cetera, et cetera. But we're very fortunate that we have a sales background, because a lot of times, without her, I would have no friends, by the way, because she's my one who gets me out. She's the one who gets me here. So it's a lot of times inventors, our problem is, and my problem is I'm introverted and I don't like socializing. I desire to make friends. This is my thing. I want to be home, like, doing my thing alone. But not with my boys, they're cool, but.
I just sit here and talk all day.
Right, she do this all day.
What do you see? Are you shy?
So, packaging?
Oh, but really quickly, so at that trade show, we did have packaging, and so many people gave us homework. So many people said, "Oh, I can help you, I can get you into this store, I can get you into that store." And when we came home, we followed up with everybody, and it was just a bunch of fake promises. And the reason why we did it ourselves is because those fake promises made us do it ourselves. I don't want to wait anymore, right? So many people said no, I didn't believe their no, and then I decided to find the buyer, just pick up the phone. "Hi, can I speak to the person who's in charge of the picture hanging department?" "Awesome. Hi, John, I'm Karina, blah, blah, blah." And that's what we did. And here we are in 12,000 stores.
Wow. What trade show were you at?
Show.
No, the house in Chicago.
And then after that was the hardware show. So we did 2 shows back to back.
Wow.
And then at the hardware show, you meet Ace and Do It Best, and then they invite you to their show. So then you go to the Ace show, and you go to Do It Best show. And
say something. Did you guys have your idea of patented or patent pending?
Well, I started with provisional originally. Since then, I have now 2 utility patents for a couple different ideas, and then now we're trademarked and copywritten all over the place. Yeah.
At the time that you were talking in the trade show, were you feeling comfortable talking with your ideas in the trade show?
Well, by the time we went to the trade show, you already had a patent.
Yeah, I already had filed my supplementary patent, so I was pretty comfortable with it. I spent a ton of time, and I hired a. So everything I did at first, I did on my own, and a lot of it to my detriment. I thought, at the time I was in my early 30s, I managed this company, and I'm so smart, which I wasn't. I lost a ton of our money on packaging I designed. Why do we need a professional packager? So what she didn't tell you was, so our first big POs were Michael's and Joann's. We sat there, we didn't move. We didn't sell, and we sold terribly. We got kicked out of both stores. that my 9th iteration of packaging, we found, I think maybe you found, sure she found it.
I did.
All right, she finds and I negotiate. We found a professional woman who had this phenomenal history of success on her packaging. She was very expensive, but she had done a scene on TV products. Well, my product is very unique and it has to be shown. You have to see it. And I'm not there to sell it. Right? The trade show, her and I are great. But they say you have 3 seconds is what you have to where a person walks by and determines whether or not they're going to buy your product. 3 seconds. So we hired finally, after putting about $100,000 in the packaging and failures,
right.
We hired a professional who did a phenomenal job. Our third store we got into was a big container store.
Bed Bath & Beyond.
Oh, Bed Bath & Beyond. And we're killing it. So it's one of those things. I was talking to a young lady on the way here, and she has all this money out on her packaging, and she was saying, "Oh, don't worry, I know I beautiful packaging." Well, she sent it to me, and I'm like, "I don't even know what your invention does." So one of the problems we had was we never knew who to ask, and everyone we reached out to, first thing they asked for was money or a contract or a commitment, and that was part of like depressing, and that's why we have this, which maybe we'll talk about another time. The Pitch to Get Rich, we have like free content on our YouTube channel. Anything anyone asks us to put up, we make a video. If I have to do research, I will. A lot of it we're familiar with now, but I feel like people were always trying to take from us, and they did. We gave 3 different people money because they said they could do A, B, C, and they didn't do it. They just took our money. So it's one of we failed 100 times more than we ever were successful.
Right.
I mean, I'm Hang-O-Matic 7. I know what I'm doing. I'm on packaging now. I know who to talk to. I know how to test it. So it's being an inventor. It's almost like I feel like sometimes you're a target, right? You have this thing you love. I love tools. This third one I'm in love with that the most right now. And it's really easy to let that emotion get away from you and let someone say, "Give me this. I promise you this. I promise you this." And we hate that. And we have our list of people that we dislike a lot that we know take but don't give, right? So I don't know. It gets emotional because I love my tool. Yes, sir.
What would you say about the packaging that is different?
Well, we did focus groups. So finally,
Sorry, the first 2 boxes didn't say what it did. It was just a packaging of a woman holding a picture, and then there was a picture of a shelf, but it didn't say it measured, leveled, and marked. It was called a picture hanging gadget.
well, the problem inventors make, that I made, that I'm sure we all make, is I'm so close to it, I know exactly what it does. So does my mom, so do all my friends, so does everyone on my Facebook. It's the stranger that needs to understand by looking at the package, and we say 3 seconds what it does. So the last and final one that was successful, we did 2 things. We hired a company who did focus grouping for us and gave us feedback. We made a couple little tweaks, and then Queen and I decided, okay, we could do it ourselves. So what we did was we went to Irvine Spectrum, which is the big mall in Orange County. We dressed like college kids. We made a clipboard. We had Hang-O-Matic boxes with us, and we walked up to strangers all day for weekends. And we said, "Hi, my name's Jordan Carino, where I go to UC Irvine, and we're in a retail class. This is our project. We look at our box and tell me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5." And we did that like for days. And it was just as effective if you have that, if you could do that. Of course, I wouldn't do it alone, by the way. I wouldn't do it if she was next to me. But together, we did that for weekends at a time. That was the second step. But that last box, it was Company 5, I think. It was phenomenal, and it came back phenomenal. But I took myself out of it. I took my emotion out of it. I stopped asking my friends and family because they already knew what it did. Right?
We needed the strangers to tell us.
We needed strangers to
And
tell
it was really weird walking up to a stranger and saying, "Can you please tell me what this does?"
Yeah.
And then this is our final box that we were about to print, because the reason we lost $100,000 is because we developed the box and we printed it. So we had to pay $30,000 for 50 boxes, right? And then we shipped it.
We had POs to fill, so it was just we just
But
wanted.
the first box, you remember, we thought like this was it, because a really large Target distributor created this box because he was gonna give us a licensing deal.
Right.
But then we didn't like the deal, so we thought, we're not gonna work with you, but look at this box he created. Let's
Right.
just steal what he created.
And print them.
And then we got 17 end caps at a hardware store.
Right.
And we ended
bought
up
them back a couple years
buying
ago.
them back as those
And this
boxes.
was we bought them all back, repackaged them, and shipped them out to someone else.
Yeah, that was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But luckily by then we already had the new box, and we were so busy with now getting more orders that we actually needed that
Right.
we needed that inventory. So yeah, that's it. That's our
So anyway, so like now, I don't want to go into this, but the void we see now is, I feel like the younger generation doesn't know what to do, doesn't know where to go. And it's so easy to go online and pay someone $39 for a class or $97 for a class. So 6 months ago, Karina and I created a YouTube channel where we put up this free content. And for me, it's about staying current with the younger generation, motivating the younger generation, because without her, I would have stopped years ago. I needed her to like, so I want to be that one who makes people excited, that's all.
YouTube channel?
What's that?
You guys got a YouTube channel?
It's called The Pitch to Get Rich. So every Friday we pick a topic, and it's her and I, we fight all the time, so we try and make it sound, we try and like keep that fun part. Because remember, the 22-year-olds, what do they watch? So I have on my day job, my two best salesmen are annoying. They're 22 and 24. And they watch those shows. So we try and, Warren is my business, don't tell them when I said that. I'm lie, they're probably watching. I didn't think about it. Well, but that's what they watch. So we don't edit it out. If we are arguing, we argue, but we still cover the topic.
We're like Regis and Kelly of inventing.
We're just trying to connect and bring in people and answer questions and keep it exciting.
But also the reason we even named it The Pitch to Get Rich is because we're constantly pitching. Here we are standing pitching, right? You guys are always pitching, and we've been on 4 reality TV shows, and Jared's been on QVC 4 times, and it was just a really fun name rather than call it. Actually, at first it was called The Inventor's Guide, but like, it's okay. It was like, what's the Inventor's Guide? And we really didn't want to get stuck with just inventors.
No, we're
we
trying
can
to
help
target
anyone
the
pitch
generation.
any business.
Right.
Doesn't have to be just in product.
Did you guys do really well on QVC? Did that kind of help blow it up?
Oh God, how much time do we have?
Yeah, it's about 10 minutes.
Oh no, this is a quick story.
5
So the first QVC experience, we met a guy at a trade show, and he was like, I can get you for QVC. The QVC buyer came by, and she went, and left. And then we didn't get on QVC. And then for the whole year, I'm like, ready? Hangomatics here now, Hangomatics here, Hangomatics here, we gotta get on QVC. So finally we got on QVC, they sent us a PO, and he had to read a 300-page writing guide. Anyway, so he flies to New York, and he's about to walk into a meeting to meet with Bed Bath & Beyond. I called Bed Bath & Beyond saying, if anyone ever did sales here, but a lot of salespeople call and say, hey, I'm gonna be in your neighborhood. Do you have 5 minutes? And he was actually going to be in the neighborhood. So he was about to walk in to meet with Bed Bath & Beyond. QVC sends an email and says, your labels are on, you're not going on.
The labels are on the wrong side of the box. So we do everything ourselves. I read every routing guide myself still. We put the label on the flat, on the long side, not the short side. So it was either they were going to charge me $100 an hour to rework it then, or they would ship it back home, and I could do it then, regardless of what's going on then. So we had to ship it all the way back. I cut the label out, moved it on the other side of the box, shipped it back.
Yeah.
Nice. But we're doing, so QVC, we've been asked back 4 times. I've been on QVC UK. I'm going on Germany soon. I won't be there, obviously. I don't speak German, but we've been asked back now 4 times. So we're doing above average. I feel like every time I go on, I do a little bit better. Again, my times are getting better. You know, at first we did the late hour, and they're giving us a little better times. But yeah, we're going to go back again this year, end of the year. They always put me on like the home improvement hour. So that happens a couple times a year, and that's when I get to go back. So it's the most stressful thing I do, by the way, by 10 times.
So you have to give them a bunch of inventory first?
Oh yeah,
That inventory we shipped in April, they held on to that. So he relabeled, shipped the inventory back, and we paid each direction, and then they held that inventory until he got to go on in September.
They're my best margin customer by far, but the terms are astronomical.
That kind of hurts your cash flow, right? Because your inventory's tied up.
So we sold, so when we got our first really big PO, we sold our home in Orange County that we built from the dirt up. Like, the home I wanted to retire in, my dream home, I sold it. It was either that or take on a partner that I didn't like, or a stranger. We had a lot of trouble getting money. I didn't want to cover everything, packaging money. Banks wouldn't give us money. The risk was too high, too much. I was too leveraged. So we sold our home. We used the equity. We moved east, and we kept everything for ourselves. But that was, cash flow has been an issue until like maybe, what, a year and a half ago? It's been a rough decade. Yeah. Luckily, that's why I kept my day job, because I'm still scared. Even now, we're killing it, and Hangomatics has been sold. For me to let go of this thing that carried me through the dark time, which was my day job, you know, it's hard to let it go. I'd rather work 80 hours a week and then her drag me in all night to make sure my family's going to be safe. You know, to me, you know, I was raised to work, so it's hard for me to even let go of that job. So that's my baby. It's my backup.
And also with retail, it changes like this.
Right.
When we got into Bed Bath & Beyond, they said, you were gonna do a test with 200 stores. So we're like, sweet, we can afford 200 stores. And then 2 weeks before we got the PO, they're like, oh, sorry, we're gonna change it. You're gonna go into 1,100 stores. And we're like, wait a minute, I didn't budget for 1,100 stores, I budgeted for 200 stores.
Right.
And then same thing happened with Home Depot. Home Depot said, we're gonna do a test of 500 stores, and then boom, you're getting into 1950.
Right.
So you're like, well, you only gave me 3 weeks notice. And the factory wants to be paid today. And so.
Right, and we make it in America, so my cost is a little bit higher. 87% made in America. There's one product I get in China, unfortunately, because I can't get it made here. But my new product, same, will be mostly made in America.
Yay.
I always keep it over 80% if I can. Trust me, it's my favorite country. I don't know about you guys, but this country pays my bill, so I try and make if I can make the whole thing here, I would. I've been trying, but 87% is as high as I get. But I get the one part, and also I don't like making it all in China because I'm always scared of being ripped off. So the little part they make, they have no idea what they're making it for. Well, they probably do now, but they ship it by the pallet to my factory, who is in Ontario, California. So, yeah, yes,
I heard
sir.
about you guys on the TV show that I saw where I think you sold 20% of your business for some amount of money. Was that like a good deal?
We have a non-disclosure agreement. We talked to you off campus, but I can tell you that TV is TV.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
everything you see is true and the truth on TV. But TV is TV. We've been on a lot, and the reason why we do that, people would say, oh, self-promote, self-promote. No, no, no. I want to sell Hang-O-Matics. Nobody looks for Hang-O-Matic. I'm not Black & Decker. I'm not Milwaukee. I am Jared Raven. We're living up my name and my sales. So when we get on TV, that's our way of letting the world know, come buy my product. That's why we do it.
Right.
So not just, and I have another product I want you to buy. I just don't have the money to run a national ad.
Right.
So that's why we I think we just got another one. But
We're pitching a bowling TV show.
right.
Bowling, and nothing to do with business, but it's bowling, it's in LA, it's a one-day shoot. We've been on TV before, where we're gonna pitch where the Hang-O-Matic bowling team, it doesn't matter, as long as we can get on and say blah, 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 Hang-O-Matic, because as soon as we do that, our sales go up, right? And ever since we've even started a YouTube channel, originally we were gonna do a YouTube channel of how to hang things, but it's just not that interesting. How many things can we really hang? And then we saw that the hardest part for us when we started is that I really wish I was able to call someone and say, please, can you just tell me what to do? Tell me what to do, tell me how to do it, and I'll just do it. That's all I want to do. So that's why we started the YouTube channel, for someone else to be able to go somewhere to answer your what should you do. Because our channel tells you what to do, and if you want to call, I'll tell you what to do.
Or if not, we'll direct you to that person who
Yeah,
knows.
just like when you got connected and you were talking about your licensing, I still want to talk to you about that, because don't stop.
Yeah.
You know, whoever you've already contacted, I bet I have new ideas that you may not have thought of, because
So
that's
we'll
what
talk
I do
forever
all day,
otherwise.
I'm like sales. Even on the way here, I'm like, we could do this, we could do, you know, it's just.
Yes, sir.
I was wondering if you could talk about your non-provisional patent time. Were you up against the deadline to get that, or when did you decide that you wanted to get the real patent in?
So the first one I did was on LegalZoom. I knew I had 12 months, and I took all 12 months. I knew I wanted to. For me, it was always about being able to afford a law firm to do it. So I wanted to hire a big law firm to do it. So for me, it was always all about budgeting the money. So I took the 12 months for one reason, was to be able to afford a law firm I wanted, who I knew was reputable, local, who I could go talk to, who I could sit with.
And you're still paying them.
I'm still paying them.
18 years later.
Again, they think I'm in.
I'm sure they won't see this.
But I guess I wanted to get to the point where did you decide to get that before the trade shows? What point were you when you actually got the?
So we did everything backwards. So I think you get a provisional patent, and it gives you 12 months to be flexible, and that's when you show it to people, right? Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't do that. I had no idea what I was doing. This was, I'm 37. This was
2000.
Right. I didn't know anything. So I found the provisional. I didn't really know what it was at the time. I went on LegalZoom and did it. I waited 12 months to pay for a lawyer to actually file my utility. And at that time, I didn't know why, when, or who. I learned this stuff after. We did everything, to say the least, ass backwards. We just did it. We just kind of learned as we went at the time. So knowing now what I knew then, I always tell people now, when you file your provisional, you saw the flexibility of the patent. That's when you start showing it to people, right? If you're doing a licensing deal. But back then, I didn't know, and I was reading online. I was Googling. I talked to a couple lawyers. I think they billed me for an hour here and there. But for the most part, I was throwing darts And that's one of the reasons why we lost so much
Facebook
money.
wasn't even around yet.
Right, I mean, right, it wasn't that
We
easy.
didn't have cell phones.
Right, we had a flip phone back then, right?
We didn't even know. We didn't have cell phones yet. I think we had no, I had a beeper. I had a beeper.
Right, but I don't
In
think we had,
college.
well, no, I had a flip phone in 2000.
In college? Well,
Sure,
I couldn't afford
When I was in high school, I had cell phones. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
no, I had a beeper.
back
I
then,
had to go to
there was no
Facebook.
rhyme or reason back then. Now I know. Then it was stupid. I mean, it was me just trying to like figure it out by myself, essentially. So, yeah.
Do you guys do a lot of online, like Facebook ads, Instagram ads?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And
Tons.
if you do it right, it pays off.
Oh yeah.
So I spent $10,000 learning Facebook ads. And the reason I spent $10,000 is because there were people who said, hey, I'll do Facebook ads for you. But I didn't want to, so let's say I have $1,000. I didn't want to pay you $600 to do my Facebook ads, and $400 went to Facebook ads. I wanted to spend $1,000 on Facebook ads. And unfortunately, it took me $10,000 until they finally started working, because whoever I was going to pay, they don't know my audience. And I think the whole world is my audience. Who doesn't hate pictures? Well, it turns out that there are people that don't hate pictures. So I had to figure out who to target, and I wanted to take the time to learn that rather than...
In short, there's a whole different art form to Amazon ads, Google ads, big time. But
No, wait, you got time for, look, you got time? All right, thank you. Okay. I didn't mean to crowd you off. I was going to say you had time for another. Was there another question that anybody wants to ask right now?
Push me off the...
Look, if I was going to kick you off the stage, I could kick you off the stage.
You want to go start from the beginning?
Not that far, but if there's any hanging questions, you can ask them now, or wait to the end. I'm sure you're going to stay a little while. Hey, you guys, thank you so much. That was a great presentation. Definitely a tribute to persistence. And the focus groups and those all kinds of great kernels of information and knowledge in there. Thank you very much for sharing that. Those of you that saw the schedule, the next month's schedule is about pitching. And we've asked Jerry and Karina if they'd come back next month, and we're trying to talk about that, but I think it'd be great. How many of you want to hear their pitch to get rich?
Sure.
All right. All right, we'll try to get that arranged for next month. Okay, well, thank you again so much. Our next speaker, Mr. Tata. I'm really delighted to welcome, and I want to let's give a big hand of welcome here to Warren Tuttle, President of UIA. I'm really delighted to introduce Warren. As I said again, this man's Rolodex must be the biggest in the world. So let him know what you do.
Thank you. Should I don't need my PowerPoint. You guys didn't use it.
There's your name. There's who we are. And there's where we live.
All right, we'll use that. American
Okay.
flag. Good enough. So, anyway, hey, listen, great presentation, guys. I really love it. You know, what you guys do, it's so organic, you know, and let me just start by saying I have no idea what I'm going to say tonight. And it's much more fun. I used to have a planned speech and a PowerPoint and all that, and it got boring. Everyone would fall asleep. Now I purposely sit there and don't think about anything I'm going to say, so it'll just come totally off the cuff. So let me just start. I'll introduce myself real quick, Warren Tuttle, but just for folks to know, I live in Connecticut, about 40 miles outside of New York City. My wife spent a career at People magazine, and my 3 daughters live and work in New York City. So we're kind of New York City based. Robert knows that. This gentleman is from San Diego area, called me up, said his wife was from my hometown, and came up to visit recently. We went to have lunch, and he then told me that where he lived, which was where his mother-in-law lived, which was near my house. He said, we're having a little party for our kids tonight. You might hear the music. And then I went home later that night. I was having dinner, and this loud music was right next door and all this. So she lives next door, and that's how I got to meet him. But I live in Connecticut. I started working out of college at a store called Abraham & Straus. I'm sure none of you have ever heard of that because you're on the West Coast. There's a very famous store out of Brooklyn, New York. Doesn't exist anymore, but many of the buyers and merchants there started a little store called Bed Bath & Beyond. So, and many great merchants that run retail shops around the country there. I always say, not all of you will get this joke, but I was the first WASP to ever make buyer at Abraham & Straus. So I grew up in Connecticut, but I learned the retailing trade inside out. I became a small electrics buyer. I became a cookware buyer, and basically, I learned how to run a business, you know, on other people's money. And then I decided to leave and go up to Connecticut and start my own stores. And I started stores called the Complete Kitchen, which were sort of Williams-Sonoma type stores with high-end cookware equipment, and I ended up expanding that to about 7 stores, and then I started a food business called the Good Food Store, and this is back in the 80s, made prepared foods and had a cooking school with 7 chefs and all that. Actually, anyone old enough to remember Paul Newman, the actor? He was a partner of mine. Okay.
He makes dressing.
Yeah, he makes dressing. I love it because I'm 62 now, and these guys are younger than me, but the 21-year-olds there, I don't even talk to them. But my kids don't even know. My daughters are all in their 20s. They've never even heard of Paul Newman. But he was a great, great man, a generous man, and very, very kind and nice to me. He's also my landlord, but he was a partner in my business. We did a lot of catering for him, and it was really pretty cool. We had the best cooking school in the country at the time, or a small cooking school in the country. We had Julia Child and Martha Stewart, and a lot of people come through and so forth. So I had 65 employees, and I started to build this business. Got into my own business like you guys are doing, and made all the mistakes in the world. It was always hard. I did it for 16 years. I was always up and down. Some years have good years, some years bad years, always struggling. I had 3 young kids and so forth, and my wife and I were both working hard to try to make a go of it and so forth. And then one day, a guy comes in the shop with a little product called Misto, the olive oil sprayer. I don't know how many people know it, but it's a metal container.
Pump first.
Yeah, you pump it. Well, it was really cool. He had shown this product. He had invented it. He was the first inventor I ever met, Tom Rich. Barely graduated from high school. Never went to college, and yet he's one of the smartest people I ever met in my life. Really had a natural for engineering. He had started a company when he was 19 years old called August West Chimney Sweeps. He went in and learned how to clean out chimneys. He set up franchises, had 14,000 of them around the world. He was a multi-millionaire by the time he was 23, and he was retired at 25. Had a house in Nantucket and all that. And then he at 27, he went back in the inventing business, and he invented like 5 new products, and every one of them went a bust. And when I met him when he was in his 40s, he was totally broke. He sold his watch to pay the rent, And he came into the shop one day, and he had this product called Misto, the olive oil sprayer, and he had shown it to about 20 different people, and they all laughed at him, like you guys. And he was, except that the problem was he showed it to all the men who didn't cook, who didn't get it, And I took one look at this, and I wouldn't have known either, except I worked in a cooking store and had a cooking school, and I knew, Pam, the stuff that you buy in the stores. Well, everybody knows Pam, and they sell about 100 million cans of Pam every year, except Pam uses a low-grade vegetable oil, so it tastes like crap, right? Number 2, it uses a butane fuel to fire it, so it's not good around the flame, so when you spray it in your pan, you could blow yourself up. And then number 3, when you're done with it, where's the can go? In the landfill. There's enough cans of Pam sold every year to circumnavigate the globe 3 times, okay? So all these, he thought this all out, and he developed this natural, spraying device that could spray oil because it has a different viscosity than water and so forth. And he brought it in, and he brought it in the shop, and we all gathered around it, and I said, that's the coolest thing I ever saw. So we spent 4 hours in the back talking about it, just like you guys probably launched your product. And I said to him, how are you going to take it to market? I don't know, I'm just an engineer guy, I don't know how to do it. I said, well, would you mind, I always had a good eye for product. That was the one thing I was good at. In my shop, anybody heard of the Nespresso coffee machine and coffee makers? Now it's George Clooney. I sold the first 250 units ever sold in America. I sold the first Muley Mincers, the first Davier ice cream maker. I could go through a dozen things that we launched in our store. I always had a good eye for product. But I never was on the development end or got in on the ground floor of something. So here's an inventor that comes in and he doesn't know what he's doing. And I said, please, 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 please let me partner with you on this, And we sold the first 24 units in my store. I sold them personally. There's an amazing experience that goes on that we lose, and sometimes these big stores lose, and you guys have gone through it, when you actually hand the merchandise over to somebody and they hand you a $20 bill back, and you go, wow, that's pretty cool, And then you do it 24 times in a row in one day, and you say, I think we're on to something. So I went out and went to about 50 gourmet shops around New England. All people I knew, friends of mine from shows, got the product placed there. We started making them in Bethel, Connecticut. We had about an assembly line and a fulfillment center. We got the guy to partner with us, so they would handle all that. We could make, 1,000 a day. We started selling in the gourmet shops. They started everywhere they went. It was an amazing thing, everywhere we put them. And then I ramped it up, took them to Bloomingdale's, marched them in there, and they took them, and they sold like 7,000 units, like you sort of experienced, like you guys over the holidays. And we just rifled out everybody in Macy's, Williams-Sonoma, and we sold 1.2 million Mistos the first year we were in business. We made $5.7 million in profit. I was like, it was the American, now we had to split it, it wasn't all my money. And Tom got more than me, because it was, which, as he should, But the point is, it was like, wow, I've been doing these stores and 65 employees and everybody else gets paid and up and down and all over the place. This is what America really is all about, the dream here. So I ended up basically doing that for a few years, sold out my stores over a couple of years, collected that capital, became really smart, and then developed a product of my own called the saucepan stirring device, it's called Stir Chef, and I proceeded to lose over $1 million, all my money basically, on the second one. And it went down the tubes. And what the problem was, real quick, and because I love your organic stories, so I'll continue these organic stories because this is really what it's all about at the end of the day. This is what the real experience is. I thought I knew everything. And that's when you start to fail. And what I didn't do was, we went to a trade show in 2004, the Housewares show. We got all the type of acclaim you did. The NBC Today show came in, did a segment on it, said it was the best new product of the show. It basically was a stirring device that you put on top of your pot, so you wouldn't have to stand over it, and stir your tapioca pudding or your risotto and all that stuff. I came up with the whole idea because I went into shops and stores, and everything said stir, continuously or occasionally, pasta, soups, beans, everything. It was the most popular command. I started convincing myself that everybody needs to stir, going through cookbooks and stuff. What I didn't really do was that consumer research and stuff, but then I took it to the show, we launched it there, and the first day we sold 110,000 pieces. We took orders from QVC, Home Shopping Network, who hate each other, Macy's, everyone came. Now, part of it I found out, I realized in retrospect, having slowed down, was people believed in me because of Misto, so, okay, Misto, here's his next big hit, it's going to work. So they didn't vet it either. And, basically, people loved the action of it and all that, but it didn't sell. I had this horrible nightmare the day before we shipped our first shipment out that I was back in my store and people came in and were returning these and didn't like them, and I woke up in a cold sweat, and it was a premonition for this thing. We shipped it out to all these stores, Bed Bath and all, and it didn't sell, okay? And guess what happens when you ship out 110,000 pieces worth of goods and they don't sell? Okay, it is ugly beyond whatever you can experience, because now not only have you launched something, but you've launched on such a massive scale. They don't pay the bill. They do not pay. Try to get money out of Bed Bath & Beyond. They'll fight you to the end, lawsuits and everything. So suddenly we were out, millions of dollars, on all this stuff. And not only that, we had another 100,000 pieces coming in on top of that, which we never sold. So we had I had 3 partners, and 2 of them left. Never saw them. I've never seen them again. Just left. They never came back. And I was up in this warehouse, the same fulfillment guy helping with Misto, and I'm in a concrete room for 9 months. 9 months, I'm staring at walls, and every day all I'm doing is pounding out, trying to get rid of these goods. And by the way, when you make them for $4.50 or whatever they are, and you try to get rid of them all, and someone gives you an offer for $2.70, you take it. You take it and you run, and you cut your arm off, and you take the loss, and that's what you do. Because when your partner says, well, but we made them for $4.50, we can't get anything less than $4.50, you're just going, because the next offer you're going to get is $1.30, and you're going to 90 cents and everything else. So these are the lessons that you guys learned that I also learned the hard way, which was organically, really on the ground. This is not reading about it or theorizing about it. You're really out there fighting for your lives at this point. And while this was all happening, every month this guy named Saul Palder from Boston was calling me with a product that ended up being called Smart Spin, okay, which ended up being the biggest hit in the before Snuggie came along, broke all our records. And it was a Lazy Susan, okay, that had vertically stacked storage containers with covers on it that you pulled off the shelf, and then they were stackable, so it was a storage system for storage containers. And you could stack 24 containers and covers in a 1 cubic square foot space, and they went in the closet. So it was the first shot ever on TV when you open the door and all the things fall out all over you, and then you can't find the lid to put on top of the storage system and everything, storage container and so forth. And this guy Saul kept calling me every month, we got to do something, and I kept saying, Saul, I can't, I've got this obligation, responsibility to clean up this company. I have a partner that I have to help out, I can't just leave him in the lurch here. And then he would say, well, who else could help me? I said, I don't know who can help you. And he kept going around to other people. And then finally, after 9 months, I called him one day. I said, I'm done with this obligation. Let's see what we can do with your product. And so that product, where as Misto, we took organically through the store system, I actually found, that's when I learned a lot about direct response television. We took it to TV, and my partner, current partner, Mark Lantino and Merchant Media, we put it together, and guess what? We sold 7 million smart spins the first year of our business, okay? And Saul made millions of money. By the way, Saul, I love him. He's now in his 90s. He was 81 years old when I met him, okay?
Oh, wow.
All right, 81 years old. And he's from Boston. I was a kid. I was like 50, you know, and he was like, he called me kid. Right? Plus, I was like this Ross from Connecticut, and he was Jewish, and he said, kid, I have to explain. I said, I worked at Abraham Stubbs, don't I? But anyway, we had this relationship that was like, he still calls me. I finally, when we finished the whole project and we were all done, I got elevated to Mensch. Does everybody know what Mensch is? But we made a lot of money, and we ended up selling 12 million. It was an amazing experience. And I had a couple other things I did. I did a toss and turn pan for a cookware company called Meyer. It had a raised edge on it that you could flip and saute things, and we sold a few million of those. So I started to get my feeling for these things, but it was still up and down. And then one day, I'm at a trade show, and at the Houseware show, this was 2007, and the chairman of a company called Lifetime Brands, which is the largest non-electric houseware company in the country, and someone I had known from my Abraham and Strauss days as a buyer, a guy named Jeff Siegel, I adore and is beloved. He said, you know, what do you do with inventors and how do you develop these things? And I sort of explained, and he said, well, could you do that for our company? Because they own the brand name Farberware, and they have 20,000 products under a whole bunch of brand names and stuff. They're the largest kitchen gadget company in the world, the largest cutlery company in the world. So for 80% of Walmart's cutlery comes from them. And I said, I cannot go back to work for another company. So he said, well, you don't have to. You can live up in Connecticut, do your thing. Just run our, so we developed what we call an open innovation program. And I got to come in there from scratch. It was like a new career for me, and actually define for them what it would look like. And so I came back and I said, I got my whole proposal together, and I walked into his office and I said, if you pay me this much a month, just retainer, you know, like it's magic. What happens when you get paid by someone, and that hadn't happened to me in like 35 years, is the money goes into your account, and it's like from God, right? And then I said, if there's a success fee, I want it to be rewarded. And he said, okay, that's done, I'll pay you that. And I said, and it can't come out of the inventors' money, you know, so we got to give them maximum, you know, 5% is the fair deal. We're not taking it out of that. He said, that's fine. And I said, you know, and then we can't steal things. No, nothing comes in the building that we're going to steal. That's fine. Everything else I asked him, he said, it's fine. So I ran out of things. I said, and I got to live in Connecticut and only come in once a month. He said, fine. So now we set up this open innovation program, and we've now generated in the last 11 years over $100 million in cost and business from there, and had a bunch of hit winners. And I've done over 100 licensing deals with them. So I sort of changed my skill set from organic and development and on the grassroots level, but taking all that experience, the invaluable experience that your guys are getting. And by the way, the term I would use for you guys is, does everybody know what the word assiduous means? You guys are assiduous. If you don't know what it means, you got to look at it, because that's what you guys are. And you have to be assiduous and that basically means hardworking, sticking to it, never giving up, never saying, you know, die on it. And so you got to do that. And then I had to merge that into a corporate culture, because Lifetime Brands has about 1,200 employees and now is $1 billion company, and not big by U.S. standards, but it's still a big company. I mean, 400 people in the headquarters, and I had to work with 8 different division presidents and legal teams and all this. So I had to come into this building and try to figure out as an outsider, how do I translate what's important to these guys and get them inspired? So we built this program over the last 10 years, and then what happened was, by the way, in parallel to all this, I realized, like you do and Adrian does, that you know, where do these ideas come from? Where are inventors? Where are these cool people that are out there? What is this community, this national community and so forth? And I started to realize that there's inventor clubs and so forth. So I joined my local inventor club in Connecticut. And I got on the board there, you know, and I started, you know, I never became president. I don't think I ever made it up that high, but I was like vice president, you know, and I did the speaker program and all that. So I was doing that in parallel to giving back. Because by the way, folks, now I'm 62 now. I believe with all my heart and soul in giving back, okay? And you guys, when you make your millions, you got to give back, and Adrian gives back, and Michelle, you give back, and people give back. And that's what this is all about, you know, and it warms our heart to do that. So I was doing this nonprofit thing on the side, and that's why I love the clubs today, because I really was ultimately involved in the clubs. And then one day someone called me and said, we're on the board of the United Inventors Association, which is a national organization. Would you like to maybe serve as that? So I thought that would be cool, and I got involved in the board, and I started giving there. And I've been involved in other nonprofits like the YMCA and town sports programs and stuff like that. So, and I was president of the Chamber of Commerce. But then what was really cool was I started to meet these national community. So now when we go to shows, we see each other, you know, or we see each other, everybody, you know, Eric Huber's a good friend. There's like this national community, you know, it's kind of fun, you know, right? Now we all know each other from around the country. So I got involved in that, and then before you know it, you know, they needed a president, and I guess I was looking up and everybody else was looking down. So then I became president. So, but it's a labor of love to do that, you know. So I'll come back to that. So this is all, sort of all in parallel. So then I would go out to speak, like you guys do, and speak at clubs around the country. And I got invited to speak at a lot of what we call open innovation. Has everybody heard the term open innovation? Does everybody kind of know what that means? Basically, okay, so open innovation is a business term developed by a business school professor, I think out of Berkeley, as a matter of fact. And basically it means the art of companies going outside of their walls to find new products. And the classic example of that is Procter & Gamble. All through the 1960s and 1970s, early 1970s in the history of the company, all of their stuff was proprietary. It was developed in-house, in lab. Secret formulas for dishwashing detergent, secret stuff for, you know, to wash your clothes, and toothpaste, and everything is top secret. And we have this secret ingredient, and you know, like McDonald's, I guess, you know, they have a secret sesame seed bun or whatever. But the idea was, they were running out of internal ideas and their growth was stagnating. And every time a new idea came in from the outside, they were turning it down. And then this guy named A.J. Lafley, who wrote a great book called The Game Changer, if you ever want to read it. I love to read all these books. The Game Changer. He said, let's start going outside the company, you know, and let's open it up to inventors. And now today, 50% of the new ideas at Procter & Gamble come from outside the company. And what they do is they license it. So the open innovation is sort of the art form of going outside the company, but the mechanism is they have to license property. And this is why this stupid ruling at the Supreme Court, which is patents are private property, is bullshit, and it will change someday, in our lifetime again. Because what happens is the mechanism for licensing people's products and property are patents, and that's why they still remain, even with these decisions. By the way, these companies that I work with have no idea of what these decisions. They still see patents as a property value. So when you have a patent, now you have some property that a company can license, and they will pay you. Basically, you know, if they pay you fairly, you know, 3 to 7% or whatever it is, and you can fire away with any questions. I can give you all the mechanics on that. But basically, they'll pay you a fair royalty for your property, for your you know, interest in products and license. So I got in open innovation. You know, we started to grow out this program. So then I started speaking about it on a regular basis. I love to speak to inventor groups because I talk about inventing, but to corporations, and I've been on many councils and sit on many things that have people from big companies like Pfizer and GE and everything. I'm the organic guy. They're all these guys that work for these companies in the open innovation departments. Like Lever Brothers, for instance, has 600 people in their open innovation department. But what I found was when I was going to all these conferences and so forth, is that all these people are really smart. Some of them have masters, even some PhDs, and they can give you the whole theory of this, but they don't organically get it. They have never gotten their ass kicked in the street before and had to go home crawling, crying to their home. They just don't get it. So they don't understand it. And so I would come to these conferences and I'd be quiet in the morning, and finally I'd jump in, you know, and I said, well, have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? Then I realized these guys would start turning, you know, to me and asking me questions. And I've had lunches with all these big companies, how do you do it? How do we look for it? So at the end of the day, these guys could learn a lot organically, but what I found was they were all raised in the company. So if you're hired by GE and you never go outside of GE and then they put you in the open innovation program, you're really not qualified to go out to the company. They don't even know where to look outside the company, which is what's cool about what I do at Lifetime, because I'm the outside guy. I'm basically, you know, an outside contractor. I get paid, you know, outside the process. I'm not an employee, which is critical. So I found in going to these conferences, these people in the open innovation areas are not happy. Senior management there, they take no risk at all. so that when it fails, they said, I told you so. And the people that get put into departments are not in sales and marketing, so they don't get promoted to the top of the company. So everyone's sort of bitter. I learned all these things along the way. So one day, I'm talking to one of these conferences, and there's 8 PhDs and me, and then I get up there and I'm giving my usual rant, you know, and going on and on and on. And these guys were in the audience, and they came up to me afterwards, and they said, we'd like to hire you to do the same thing that you do for Lifetime Brands for TTI. And I go, has anybody ever heard of TTI? This is TTI. You've heard of TTI? You've answered. But I said, what's TTI? And they looked at me like I was cross-eyed, and they go, Tektronix Industries, of course. I go, okay, Tektronix Industries, who's that? Well, it's like a $7 million corporation, and they make Ryobi, Rigid, and Milwaukee power tools. They also make Hoover vacuum cleaners and many other, they have several other divisions. They said, so we want you to do the same thing in our open innovation program and grow it here. So it was pretty cool because Lifetime's customers are 95% women buying, you know, kitchen products and so forth. And then this is like men, 95%, you know, Rigid, Ryobi. I mean, I have a little Rigid shirt. I don't know jack crap about power tools, okay, I'm telling you right now. And I wear a shirt someday and it says Rigid, and I'm on a plane and guys are, oh, you're with Rigid, you know, and they start telling me about whatever it is, that, you know, their favorite tool and everything, and I'm like, that's awesome, you know. And Glenn, don't turn me in, Glenn, okay, don't turn me in. I know a lot about kitchen products. I go to the mat with you on a kitchen product, but on that stuff, but it actually has worked out even better because all the guys at TTI know a lot about it, and so I've learned from them, and I don't even put my own judgment in, and I bring things forward and I turn it over to them, and it's awesome. So I set up the same program for them, and now we've had a lot of licensing deals. I've had about 20 licensing deals there, and I've been doing that for 5 years. It's really cool. And then I also do it now for a direct response television company. It's something I have to start marketing myself more on. The original company that did SmartSpin with me, Merchant Media, has hired me to do look for things for them and do their program. And they're tied in very much with a company called All-Star Marketing. I don't know how much you guys know about All-Star, but Scott Boylan, the owner of All-Star, and his family had started, is lifelong friends with my friend Michael Antino from Merchant Media. So we're all very tight on this. But GRTV is the other thing. So now I run these 3 open innovation programs. So getting back to my other nonprofit career, now I'm the president of the UIA, and UIA goes, now the inventor world, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but it's just a crazy world, you know.
Crazy people.
Crazy people, crazy world, and there's all types of things. Basically, the main thing is we're dedicated. Main number one thing I would say at the UIA and other inventor organizations, we are dedicated to people not taking advantage of inventors. And because, like you were saying before, Jay, it's very easy to take. When you have your dream and everything, it's really easy to just come in and steal that candy. Yeah. And there are companies that are out there who seem to be dedicated to that. And they will remain nameless. But they are, you know, called, you know, Invent Help Davidson. You know the whole thing. Keep that in the room here, right? That's right. But the bottom line is, you know, I started looking at these companies and their models and everything, and I started to become a student of everybody's models. I mean, I'm a student of everybody's models, right down. I can dissect them and take them apart, which is partly why I built my model the way I did, totally different than everybody else's, so it would work. But at the end of the day, our number one goal is to protect these folks, to try to give them free education, to try to give them, you know, this type of, you know, so that you have a source. And I spend a good deal of my life writing back to people, calling them, and making sure, you know, I probably I could answer 25, 30 emails a day easily to people to try. I don't have all the time in the world, but try to get people, you know, hopefully on the right track. Hopefully having, you know, lunch with people from time to time. Hopefully meeting people at shows and giving that. You know, you never do enough, but it's what it's all about. So you have to have a passion for giving back to others, number one. But number two, at the UIA, we try to help people with 3 things. Get your product to market, all that's involved, and as difficult as it is. But also we try to advocate for inventors in DC. And we were doing a pretty crappy job at that, actually. And now U.S. Inventor, which is agile, which, by the way, I'm also happy in this small community to have introduced some folks to each other. So these organizations have come together, which is great. And Paul Morinville and what he does in Washington, and Adrian, these guys, you know, by the way, give a hand to Adrian for all that he does. These guys going on their own dime, you know, and they're down there constantly, you know, walking all the hall in Congress and so forth. But basically advocating for inventors down there, and then basically, you know, the education part of it. So what we try to do is, you know, really give back. I love the clubs because you guys are real. You guys are real people in real places. We're a little bit more virtual that we have. You know, we have our headquarters are in Washington, which is totally fake because it's a fake office. But, by the way, Eric Huber here is on our board too, and so as is Adrian. Say hi to Eric. You know, congratulations to Eric for all he does. And we have 15 members on our board, and they're incredible people. Our board are incredible people. We have Jim Patterson. He started from scratch, which is now the largest law firm in Minneapolis. Jim has presented before the Supreme Court multiple times. In fact, I took a tour of the Supreme Court with him once, and he showed me where these are people that are accomplished, have done great things. Matt Nuccio, he's the #1, he owns Designers, #1 independent toy design company in the world, okay? Unbelievably talented person. I mean, you go, Lindsay Brooks, I was just with Lindsay, holy jeez. Sham wow.
Slop chop.
Yeah, $1 billion, in sales and stuff, and I'm with her over the last few days, which I'll tell you about in a second, and just, Jesus. I thought I had a lot of stories. She's unbelievable. She spent one night in the bar in England and met Mary Leakey, the person that found the world's oldest man, and they invited her back to Kenya and spent a week. I mean, these stories are great stories. But we have, if you ever go on UIAUSA.org, if there's nothing else that we do, we've brought together a really cool collection of people that care about the industry and try to give back. Now, getting into work and do stuff is another story, but one of the, trust me, it's not easy. It's like herding turtles a lot of times. But one of the cool things that we've done, and we did recently get together with other clubs to go to Washington, D.C. to promote, which was historic and awesome, and we also started the Inventor Corner at the Houseware Show, but then those folks took it in-house, which is another story for another day. But one of the really cool things we do is inventor trade shows. We do the PGA show, we do the MCC Response Expo that I was here 2 weeks ago. Riding Harley with Adrian for 5 hours one afternoon, took an afternoon and rode around.
But see San Diego the right way, don't you?
Yeah, it was awesome. We went up the hills. Thank you for that. It was a really special day. But one of the really cool things that we do is we run the Inventor Spotlight Pavilion at the Harvard Show. You guys were just at, and many of you were just there, Robert. And that now is the largest inventor show in the country, because Impex, which is owned by Fail, is down the tubes now. There used to be the Minnesota Inventors Congress that we all participated in. That's gone. Yankee Expo in Connecticut's gone. So we are now, and what we did was, I realized a number of years ago, I always try to study models and try to vision ahead of what the world will look like 10 years from now, not where it is right now. And I could see all these shows 10 years ago and saw that they're not going to work. Inventor trade shows don't work. Okay, you put them in, East Oshkosh, Illinois, and nobody's coming in. You're not going to get the companies, and nobody's making that trip out there. I mean, you can have a nice little event, and meet a few people, but it's not going to work. What the answer is to take the Inventor Pavilion to the industry that you want to exploit. So do one at the Houseware Show. And I was involved in getting all these programs started. And when we started the Hardware Show 10 years ago, we had 20 booths. And it's like, okay, it's like, again, it's all organic. In the beginning, you're selling your own product and you're trying to get that cash flow going. But then you start to give back. How can we make this better for the industry? How do we bring people in? So Reed Expo's headquarters are right next to my home, about 5 miles away. So I know the people, all the management live in my town. So how can we do this and get it started? In the beginning, it was a big joke. We were like, girls basketball in the 50s. Girls don't play basketball. Well, tell that to the Connecticut Lady Huskies champions. But it evolves. All of a sudden it's really cool. I watch a lot more women's basketball than men. I think it's a lot more fun today. And the same thing goes for this Inventor. We now had 165 booths this year.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. We grew it to 100 last year and we jumped to 165. So we're now the largest show. And we do, over the years, it takes time. I got them to get the stage on the floor, and do educational events there that people speak. We had unbelievable speakers, like we were talking about Roy Morjan before, who's the #1 Kickstarter and Go-Go launch person in the country. We had, by the way, I serve on the National Pro Bono Patent Attorney Association, which is a 7-member council that has started your pro bono patent program. So now folks that don't have means can get access to patents without having to pay for them and so forth, which is a major program. We had representatives there from that. We had all types of great lecturers, and Scotty Hine is on our board. Scotty is the #1 QVC host in America. 300 times a year he's on air. And so we had all these people talking, but the really cool thing is we did pitch panels, and we gave you guys a chance, inventors a chance to come up and pitch your product, Shark Tank style, in a real way, by the way, to folks on an expert panel. And so we had the first day, Make 48. Is everybody familiar with Make 48? Tom Gray's on our board as well. And so we had to make 48 panel, and the last day today, just before I left, because literally the show ended at 1, and our last person, by the way, the best thing I saw in the whole show, the best thing, here's the last thing I saw at 6 minutes to 1, and I like walked out smiling. I finally found something that I liked of the show, put it in my bag, ran out to get on a plane and come over here. But that was a cool pitch panel. But the coolest thing of all time was we had senior management of Home Depot come out to the event. So, and they did a pitch panel, a 4-hour pitch panel yesterday. And what was really cool about that was I had a chance, a really good friend of mine was on the board of directors of Home Depot. We never talked business because we're really good friends, but one day we were on the beach together, and he asked me how my program was going with TTI. I explained it to him. He said, "You ought to tell Ted. You got to tell Ted what you're doing, you know, and we got to bring this program to Home Depot." And I go, "Who's Ted?" And it's Ted Decker. Ted Decker is the executive vice president of Home Depot that runs all merchandising, stores, and everything else. He will be the next president of the company. And so I set up an innovation discussion for 2 hours to go down on a Friday afternoon in late fall to just talk to him. And I came in the same way you guys did, and you know, when I'm gone here, you just keep on doing it, because you know, somebody needs to do this. And I just went in and blew him away. And he had, by the way, the head of global sourcing, the head of all home and garden and everything, and their head product development. And it was just nothing. They just basically shut up and listened to me talk about all the stuff that I'm talking about, how it really happens organically. And they were just stunned because they see everything from the top down. And every time, you know, they complained about inventors and doing that, I had an answer for them and how they could do it. And at the end of 2 hours, Ted said, "Well," and Ted is I said to him, "If this is Iran, he'd be the Ayatollah community." So I said, he said at the end, "Well, is there anything we could do to help the inventor community?" I said, "Yeah, you could come out. How many buyers do you send to the hardware show?" And he goes, "Well, we send 88 buyers." I said, "Do you think you could free up 4 of them to come and do a pitch panel for us?" And he said, "What's the pitch panel?" I said, "It's like a Shark Tank pitch panel where we get it." He said, "Hell no, I'm coming. Wow. So he came out himself. I mean, as soon as he said that, and then he turns to Janine, "You're coming, right?" "Yeah, I'm coming. I'm Jim." He's coming. So they all came out. They flew out in a jet. In fact, the last thing as they were leaving, I kept talking to Ted and Janine, "Come on, the pilot just called. They got the plane warmed up on the G5, warmed up on the lot. You know, here, we got to get out of here." So it was so cool. They came in. They gave the entire 4-hour process. We had lunch with them. They saw 30 products there. They were engaged. They loved it. They left saying, "We want to come back every year and do this again." And so another big company sees the value of organic, open innovation, you know, which could be, now we want to keep an eye on them and make sure they do it right. And I told them that we are not just letting you come in here and bull it. You have to treat inventors and it has to go down this path, right? So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, so we had just an amazing. I was sending Adrian the pictures. It was so thrilling to have an event there, a signature event that just is cranking on all cylinders there. And we're talking about next year growing it to 200 booths, and then also maybe bringing in a maker fair to put in the parking lot and just do the whole, like have 500 booths there. And you know, who knows whether we'll accomplish that, but we just want to keep growing this thing out at the end of the day. So that's giving back, you know, to the community. Now, what's cool for me too is I run the Open Innovation Department for TTI, so I'm also looking at power tools and things. Well, I mean, I never cross the two businesses, but I can also look for stuff while I'm there and give back to the community in that way as well. So I don't know, maybe that's a natural break and I can answer some questions. There's so many different directions I can go on. But the bottom line is, what you guys have done is brilliant. By the way, when's your birthday?
September 1st.
I'm the 3rd. So. But, you know, we really need, it's funny, I can't think about 21-year-olds. I just can't, it just doesn't even enter my head. But we do need younger people to get involved and engaged. And that's one of the things that we're doing. We need more women. We need more minorities and people of color. We need more youth. We need everybody. And, you know, inventors for a long time, you know, have been sort of old white guys, you know, and we kid about it. And it's all good, you know, they're wonderful what they bring to the table. But at the same time, we need to open this experience up. And we have an obligation to teach these younger folks, because the maker movement, and does everybody know Dale Dougherty? Do you know Dale Dougherty started Make Magazine, the maker movement? I actually went out and spent a day with him once, and really cool. They're doing cool things, but these things sometimes that come from Northern California, like Google and stuff like that, and maker movement and stuff, tend to be these big, you know, sometimes these movements, and then nobody gets paid. Nobody gets paid. So we need to get back to a strong path system where individuals can benefit and profit from it and so forth. So I love the maker movement, I love what they do, but they tend to give everything away, you know, like it's the internet or something. We need to protect ourselves so that people can experience that experience that you guys have had, that I had with Misto and so forth, that everybody can have with a success story that comes along. So there is still a place for the inventor, and even though it's cool to be a maker these days, one thing, my pet peeve is I go to the show, and the president of REIT is like calling inventors makers. You're calling it a maker. I said, it's not a maker, it's an inventor. We're different than that, because we are individuals. We believe in the power of individuals and the protection of individuals. We're not, a mass culture that's just giving everything away. So we need to fight and protect for that. You guys have seen the benefit of it. We got to pass that word along to other folks so that we always keep a part of it, because otherwise it's going to get washed out of the culture entirely. But maybe that's a good place. I
got about 5 minutes.
Direction,
I don't want to rush one. Again, this is a master of this industry in many aspects. Any questions, or are your minds blown by all the contacts and names he's been throwing out? I mean, what a name dropper, right?
Yeah.
Okay, first question.
I want to know how I can get more information about that pro bono.
Okay, so first of all, my email, if anybody wants to email me, it's 2 W's. My middle name, which I've never revealed in public before, happens to be Woodward. So, over here, that's my middle name.
That's in again, Warren.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I was named after a captain of the Civil War named Warren Woodward. So, but www.tuttle, T-U-T-T-L-E, at yahoo.com. So I won't always get back to you the same day, but within a couple of days I'll get back to you if I'm not traveling. And if you have questions, and send me an email on the pro bono, I'll get you back the information for it. But we now have pro bono in all 50 states. And that's when we've been funded by the Patent Office to the tune of $600,000 over the next couple of years. And my big dream in life is get these patent attorneys and these local things hooked up with the local clubs around the country. And that's one of the big things we're trying to do to accomplish so more people hear about the program. But it's just getting revved up now. But send me an email and I'll send you back information.
May I confirm your email address? Sure. It's www.tuttle, Tuttle, at yahoo.com. And I'll put a bunch of my cards out down here too. I have different cards. I'm like passports. I have TV,
got a Rolodex in our pocket.
But I'll put them out here and just take. They all have the same email.
And if you guys aren't members already at the UIA, please, it's free.
Yep.
UIAUSA.org.
And there's
information there also about pro bono.
And we do have handouts out front, and there are business cards out front, and there is a sign-up sheet for that out front as well. So please avail yourself.
Would you agree that Shark Tank's been, incredible for?
Well, it's funny, when Shark Tank first came out, and they hadn't launched yet, and we heard about it, they had actually reached out, I'm sure to other organizations, but the UIA, to ask us what we thought of it. And we went through their rules, and we thought, oh, this is not good for inventors, because it's not. Okay, I know plenty of people have gotten deals on TV and they don't exist. So we did not officially endorse it to begin with, because we were very, very worried that it might take advantage. But the way it's worked out, it's given tremendous exposure. I can't say that I love Mr. Wonderful or Mark Cuban or anything else, but overall, it's given a great format to it. A lot of people get tremendous exposure, whether they get a deal or not. So in the end, it's been good. So I have no issue with it, and it's been I'd say overall, but it's not real.
It's raised the awareness. It's turned inventing into a reality show.
Yeah, most of the deals that you think go through do not go through. After the due diligence is done, there's not.
Yeah, and just be
great exposure.
And you guys have to learn how to watch you have to be protective of your own rights, but at the same time you can't be neurotic. Okay.
Right.
Someone said before, when you go to a trade show. By the way, I'm amazed with 165 booths and how well they're getting better and better and better. But everybody there had at least a PPA, provisional patent. And people, now you can't really go into a public place without being prepared then.
Oh, absolutely.
Was there a question back there?
Yeah, can you explain the pro bono? Is there a scale system on that?
A scale?
You have to have a certain income level, and it's 3 times poverty?
Yeah. I forget what the exact numbers are, but yes.
It's out there. Our sites have got it listed.
And we're also working in the commission now about going to the next level, which we're going to call something about, it's like people who are low income but above the poverty line, at least they get some assistance. So that's the next level.
So on your licensing deals that you were talking about, did you have patents for all of them, or were there patents?
Yes. Yeah. And that's why the PPA provision is very important. So
I'm an old-fashioned school that if you're going to go to license to somebody, you really, got to go down the patent route, and you got to have a functioning. But we didn't even get into licensing there, but a functioning prototype. And so I know some people teach, you can have a drawing and get away with, and that's fine to get the door open. But the next question, if someone likes your product, is do you have a functioning prototype, and and so forth and so on. So you provisionals, or I know you want to hold back, and it's wise to not spend your money. But at some point, if you're going to get more serious with a company, you're probably going to have to get at least a provisional patent.
Can't sell unless you own it. Well,
yeah.
Let's give Warren an amazing hand. Great experience, great stories.
I'll put my cards over here if anybody wants them.
Yes, and the handouts are out front as well. Okay, what is next here? Resources and new opportunities. Let's see what's on this. If you want our newsletter, it does come out monthly. Please sign up for it. The form's out in the lobby. Again, I avail myself 1 hour for free on Thursdays. And I had an experience today. I have experiences every Thursday with the inventors.
Any card.
Many of the same questions come about. So I have actually got this, it's a two-step A and B that talks about the 5 things, now 7 things. Going through the patent searches is always first. Doing market research and focus groups to determine if there is a market is next. A SWOT analysis of your own life. What do you really want to do? Are you going to take the path of building a business, or are you going to license it? That's a decision that really, within minutes that you come on my door, I'm asking you is, are you planning to license this idea, or are you building a business? Because all your planning is to a certain stage for licensing, but it goes way beyond that. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you come to my office, I hope you take notes. Otherwise, I've collected a few of them here, like how to do a real efficient search by the actual product code, and so on. So this all adds up. These are available out front, or right up front, right here, right now. A lot of you, before you even start, I want you to look at this questionnaire and judge it. A lot of you come in, you've got a bucket of ideas, you throw them on the desk. Which one do you like? We're going to be objective about it. We're going to use this system, we're going to grade them to see what is the lowest hanging fruit. The idea is here, the more things are on the left, the easier they are to get to market. The more issues you've got going all the way here to the right, the more difficult and more expensive it's going to be. Okay? This is free, please use it. The one skill you can change is the expense cost. That's per your budget availabilities. Bottom line, hearing a story where somebody's selling millions of dollars of product in the first year is unique, but not everybody does that. Really have a real good talk with somebody if you think that's your expectation. Another resource here is the Inventors TV. We mentioned that a little bit earlier. Here in San Diego, I've listed this chart of all of the accelerators, and I'm very proud to say that at the last trade show I was at, our friends the Tech Coast Angels, they handed out their sheet of accelerators. And if you look here, we're parallel. We've got about the same list of connections here that are available. So these are all the incubators, startups, and places that help inventors here in San Diego of all sorts of different types. Let me go through a few of them here. Paralabs has taken a great lead for helping women here in San Diego. They've gone national, they're getting funding, they're getting great recognition, and they're bringing inventors' products to market. So they are women helping women. SCORE, they're not on the list because they've been around forever. Service Corps of Retired Executives, of course. They help with your business planning. Axiom was on the list, but they do microloans. So they'll go from $300 to $75,000. What they're best at making sure you have a good credit rating, and then helping you get your business plans together. Other resources we talk about is Amazon loves to sell and move products, so they've got a program to help you get your products to market. That's the Amazon Launchpad. As a resource, I mention this monthly because if any of you are not really ready to invent something, but you want to improve something, and so it didn't come to you as a big epiphany, it just came out of the, God, I wish somebody would make a better way of doing this. That's a process called innovation. And Dr. Harry West has been hired by BMW and major companies. He was hired by Johnson & Johnson to develop the Swiffer. And he has a great video about this whole process and his whole experience doing this, because he admits right up front he'd never mopped a floor in his life. And he spent months just watching people, asking them questions, making prototypes, testing it, and evolving the product. Because the definition of product development is bringing to the market, that's its own set of tasks, a customer accepted idea And that means focus groups. It's not just something you fell in love with and you like. It's a customer-accepted idea. So the whole definition, bringing to the market a customer-accepted idea from initial concept through design and into manufacturing on a predetermined cost, budget, and schedule. Yes, that'll be on your test later. Of course, we share with you that Stephen Key is just a renowned expert on licensing. His book that he's written, One Simple Idea, is a textbook now in colleges and universities. His examples from his experiences with Teddy Ruxpin and Laser Tag, numerous others. He's become very well recognized and speaker and created Invent Right, which helps coach you in the process. He has lots of videos that get great reviews, so many of the questions you might have already been captured in a video on his channel. We mentioned Connect. The Inventors Forum here is a pipeline to Connect. Connect is an iHub, innovation hub in California. They alone have created over 3,000 companies. These are mostly high-tech, but not all. So let me talk to you a little bit about this, because Michelle and I are both entrepreneurs in residence with Connect, which means we come aboard and help entrepreneurs try and get started. Yeah, they've been around, they've done a great job. The way it works is for no cost, there's a program called Springboard. And if you have a higher tech item especially, we love to see what your idea is, so we have panels, intake panels to see where you're at. And then marketing panels and finance panels. Each one of these panels is of experts in this field that know that business that you want to get into, and they will actually help you get your ducks in a row for your business plans and marketing plans, so it all comes together into a great business plan. And with a little extra coaching, you actually learn how to pitch. I show you this and share you with this.
We need more hardware products.
Yeah, well, the world's gone into apps, so almost everything we're seeing now is apps, but there still are some devices. This questionnaire, please jot it down, get a copy of it from me. This is what's going to be expected of you. And this is a low-end questionnaire, meaning it's not like Karitsu where there's 1,000 questions about how ready are you. This is only asking, what is it, 7. We want to know, do you know your opportunity? Do you have a good solution? Do you have any idea about the market? Do you have any idea how you're going to sell it? Do you know who your competition is? And have you gotten patents, or are you along the way there? These are some essentials that we look for. Now, we know you're not going to have it all there. That's why we're there. We'll help you fill in these blanks. But this is the general where you need to be at, just so that you can get involved with groups that will help you actually polish it to where you're up to the 95% level. Well, the question that's not on here is, are you coachable? Because the room's full of people that are experts, they're retired, they just want to give back. But if you come in and you're so full of yourself that you don't want any advice, you're not willing to listen, you've got immediate objections to people's questions, those sort of things, immediate turn off. We know you've got it all figured out, you don't need us, good luck. All we do is bring hundreds and hundreds of man-years of experience in what you're trying to do, but you know it, so go for it. Anyway, that's the question here. The point is this: we have our own system in town here called Capital Match, where there are people that are in certain industries, they're verticals, and they've made their fortunes in that, so they like to invest in those verticals. We also then explain what Techos Angels is looking for, and that's a local investment group made of accredited investors. I've raised hundreds of thousands through this group at different times for medical device products mainly. But they are now a syndicate, so there's a group in Orange County, there's a group in LA, there's a group in Santa Barbara. They all have a little different flavor. You go up to the group in LA and it's Hollywood, and they're all wearing feathers and boas with big glasses. Crazy stuff, but they're looking for the games and movies, and so different tastes for each angel group. Here in town, we're medical and telecom. Orange County is optometry, and that's really the biggest one I know. Anyways, that's the Techos Angels story. When you're going to Techos Angels, they are almost like VCs, really. Angels have evolved up to where they expect as much as VCs. Most of your funding when you're starting up is from friends and family, your own credit card, borrowing from your house. I'm a poster child for that because when the housing market dipped, that sunk something like $56 billion worth of equity that investors were tapping on. So that was a hidden hurt to the marketing crash, was investors' startup funds disappeared. I was a poster child for that. Anyway, Fund Ready, a lot of words. What does it really mean? If you're going to go out for serious money, I'm saying, a couple $100,000 up to millions of dollars, it's done. It is doable. There's conventions for this as well. Your presentation has to be the top notch. What's asked for you to even get invited to go to one of these presentation meetings? Look at this for a few minutes. This is the kind of homework that's going to be expected of you. And imagine again that only the top 95% even go to present to these events to actually get some funding, which is why most people license. All right, that's just a mountain of work, and unless you're a glutton for punishment or you have some really big schemes and plans, licensing is the quick and easy way to go. And speaking of licensing, does that work?
Yep.
There is a great event coming up. It is once a year, and again, I'm so proud. Leslie's been with our group for years and helped, and Leslie's going to explain a little bit about this event coming up about licensing that you'll actually be attending, won't you?
Haven't decided yet.
Okay,
It's going to be last minute.
Let them know why it's so great for them to think about this event.
So not only as a committee member for this group, I also do licensing, and licensing, as you know, is an avenue to get your product from concept to commercialization. In Vegas, May 22nd through the 24th, so coming up in less than 2 weeks, is the big licensing expo. I encourage you, if you are ready to get your product to market, not in concept or idea phase necessarily, but really have your ducks in a row, and using that slide he just showed a moment ago is very beneficial. There are over 5,000 brands represented at this one show, representing over 65 different countries. Brands in character licensing, digital entertainment, all other forms of entertainment, including toys, games, household goods, product goods, craft, household products. It's basically 2 segments. One segment is an educational forum. So for a nominal fee, you can sign up to take any number of classes that are available over the course of the event. Each course talks about licensing in a different manner. So depending on where you are in the process, what it is you're looking for, what you do or do not know about the licensing process, you can sign up under the Licensing University fee program, pick the courses and classes that you want to attend. They're very knowledgeable. They are filled with people who are in the industry, who know what it is they're talking about, who know how to get you a deal. There are also many of the many of the courses focus on panels from brands who you are hoping one day to pitch to that will tell you exactly how to get in the door with them. So that's one big component. The other big component of Licensing Expo is the showroom floor. And that's where the brands have their giant trade show booths there for you to go and visit them. Now, it may be a little bit too late at this point, but on the website, you can go in and request a matchmaking session. So you go in and request, who it is you might want to talk to, from what brand, for what purpose, and request a time slot. And you'll have that basically appointed reservation when you go. If you're not able to get an appointed reservation, you can absolutely walk up to the booth with your materials, with your information, with your business card, and talk to someone who's right there. They may not be the exact person you need to speak with, but they can give you some general information about whether you're in the right place. They'll also give you business cards of exactly who to talk to, whether it's an agent at their brand or via a broker. Of which there are many also, in addition to just the brands represented, there are many licensing agents and brokers who are also at the show. The difference between a licensing agent and a licensing broker is a broker is someone who's kind of going to act primarily as your middleman. The person who, if you don't know who am I going to license to, where are my opportunities, who should I talk to, they're the ones that are going to do that research for you and seek out those opportunities to connect you with a brand. Now they take a cut, they take a fee, and they're very steep, but you also, if you're going to take that route, you also put a lot of other burdens and requirements on them to make them earn that fee, and a lot of that is being the liaison with you and that brand. And again, a licensing agent or rep is someone like myself who, once you have done all of that, once you have that established connection with a brand, we help you negotiate and finalize the licensing agreement. We don't manage necessarily the day-to-day or the ongoing transactions after the ink is signed, but we make sure you've got the right deal for what it is that you're seeking. Again, I encourage you to go. To attend the showroom floor, I believe there's no fee still to do that, but again, if you want to take the licensing university classes, there is a fee for that. Okay? Normally I go about every other year. I went last year. I'm still on the fence about whether I'm going to go this year. I've got running out of time to decide, but if I do, then I generally bring back some helpful, useful information, and in the next month or two it'll be available out here on the table for you to take. That's if I go. If I do not go, I know Ruth, you said you were attending. Ruth is a member of Inventors Forum for just about a year now. I actually met Ruth last year attending Licensing Expo. She was there, we got to talking, found out she was here from San Diego. I introduced her to this group. She's been coming ever since, and she actually is going to the expo next month as well. So, you know, there's some good context there for you if you want to talk with her a little bit before. As a first-time attendee who went last year, she can probably give you some helpful tips and tricks as well, as so can I out there. Any questions? Yep.
The people that have the booths, are they there to license their product, or are they there to listen to our products?
Both. There's a section for one, and there's a big, giant section for the other. So the bigger area represents the brands who are seeking people to obtain licensing deals to showcase or focus their brands. So for instance, if you look at character representation, you know, Pokemon, or I don't know what toys names are. What are toys kids' names? I don't know. Toy brands, clothing brands, character brands, Nickelodeon, the big studio houses. Those are all represented. So if you have like a kid's toy product, you think you would like to license from that brand, then you would go to them and say, hey, I have this. I think it would be a good fit with your character base, and how can we make a licensing deal? And then there's another section where, and we had a couple of guys here last year also go, who are seeking brands to license to. So taking their product and trying to license it to a brand. So both are represented.
I'd like you to hold off any more questions. We're really running out of time today. Leslie, we'll be outside. You can speak to her then, okay? All right, thank you very much. Leslie, thank you very much. We were very happy there in Washington. The Inventors group was invited to tour the Lemlinson Museum, and what I saw there was a video wall like the movie Minority Report, where he's moving the pictures around and grabbing frames and bringing them all together. They actually have that at the Lemlinson Museum. This is Smithsonian Institute of Technology. And I talked to the director there, and he gave me this invitation. If any of you actually have a patent, you can actually post your invention on their map, and then you can tell people, hey, my stuff's being seen at the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Very cool. Okay, gotta again give a shout out to UAA, because again, this is under the heading of opportunities and resources for inventors. There is nobody better in this country that makes these trade shows available to you at a fraction of the price of what a whole booth would cost. It's an extraordinary opportunity for you to be discovered, to show your wares and get out there. The one that was most recent we're talking about is this hardware show. 160 booths for you inventors to be showing you new products to the entire industry. I mean, that is a 3-day event that can just change your life. The one that was here in San Diego recently is now called the MTC Expo. It used to be the Direct Response TV Expo. This is the industry for the SCI TV world. There we had a number of inventors. Last year, our friend Dan showed his SIPSI, the bottle stopper device, won an award at that show, and that very afternoon he was standing in front of some of the best marketing people in the country, like the head of QVC. So that was a great event here recently. I was very happy to be a judge with Warren. You've probably seen some of the pictures on our Facebook page. Other opportunities for inventors, let me go through this quick. This is a program called SBIR, Small Business Innovation and Research. It's grants that are given to inventors, especially in technical areas, that can find a solution for what's called a solicitation. Every department in the government publishes their solicitations. These are requests for new technology. If you can find an answer to something, it's free grant money. This whole world of TV reality show has taken off because, yes, it was, in fact, Shark Tank. But it has become extraordinary. We're seeing, I have 4 or 5 casting calls probably a month. Here's some of them. If you're interested in any of these, reach out. We'll connect you. We're happy to. So we've seen Inventors Network, the As Seen on TV group, Edison Nation. this is how America works. It's our capitalistic system that we bring new products to market regularly. So America needs your ideas. Last I heard, it was like a $500 billion industry of getting your ideas. As Warren pointed out, there's companies now that it's open innovation. They don't have the tech, they don't have the ideas enough in-house. They need to bring things in. So America really depends on you for ideas. A question along these lines, I'll do two, and then we're going to go on. Yes, ma'am.
For the expos, the inventor expos,
yeah.
Where is there a list somewhere? I missed it, went by quickly.
Well, both are the website for United Inventors Association. If you go there regularly, they list when all the shows are coming up well in advance. Okay. Again, there's a sign-up sheet out front there that will get you on the UIA lists. Okay. Any other just general questions? I want to say something that I am so relieved because of hearing these stories of how many times you've made $1 million, then you've lost $1 million, you made another couple of million, you lost a few more million. And I thought I was the only one. But no, I guess this is the way it goes. Okay.
It's America, baby.
I feel much better now. These little scars are badges. I get it. Okay. Yeah, I tell people, yeah, I've been a multimillionaire a few times now. We're getting back there sooner.
No visible scars.
Visible, no. But same thing. You talk about selling your house. Absolutely. I've sold 2 of my homes, my RV, all my gold. I've sold all my resources once to bring something to market. Absolutely. That's what you do. Right. That's what you do if you believe it, and other people aren't there yet. You've got to bring them up to. I call myself a futurist. Back in the late 80s, I had a vacuum cleaner that would run itself around. I call it a rug bug. The people at Eureka laugh me out of the room. They say, "Who do you think we are? The Jetsons? Get out of here." I didn't stick with it. Okay? In 1985, I designed a car alarm that would lock your door and flash your lights. 5 years later, Dare Lights had got a patent for it. I didn't patent it. I didn't push it. I didn't get that to market. I can go on and on and on. Now I've learned a little bit more. We're hoping that you will be starting to teach this next generation so they don't have to get to my age and have as many scars. But anyway, we'll see. Let's see. What I want to do is get out of here fairly soon, so let's go on to the Who Needs Who. First up, and if you're here for the first time, what we do is we've got amazing networks. I've got a Rolodex, you got a Rolodex. We all have some great contacts. For the first 11 years I ran this club, we kept it private. We didn't advertise. We were just friends helping friends. And that built businesses here in San Diego. Friends like you would be sitting there and you realize somebody else had the same interest and they got together and they formed a company like Skullcap, or we've seen all kinds of companies. I had a lady that was an anesthesiologist, had an idea sitting around 10 years. We helped her create a product and won awards. We've seen this happen. This is the purpose for all this. So please now, this is the Who Needs Who. If you need a designer, you need financing, you need a marketer, you need your patents, whatever it is you're looking for, please state it. We'll either connect you right here and now, or we're going to go home with it, or you can contact us later, but it gets the ball rolling, okay? Who needs who? You don't all have everything you need. What is it that you do need? And how can we help connect you? What do you need to get your idea to the next step?
The licensing, the provisional licensing.
So you have a provisional patent, right?
No, not yet.
So you need the provisional patent. Okay, well, you can call us. We can connect you. Dave Waller, you saw his face up here as a sponsor because he has helped dozens of us as my primary patent. By the way, patent agents cost a fraction of a patent attorney. I heard somebody say, "Oh, I waited so I had enough money so I can get this law firm that's the biggest and the best." It's like, man, did you waste a lot of money. Because the patent attorneys who you go to when you're being sued or you want to sue somebody. You go to a patent agent to file, do the prosecution, answer the office actions, write the claims, everything. A patent agent is a type of attorney licensed to do all of the work to get you your patent. You don't need an attorney per se unless you're really being sued or want to sue somebody. Yet many of you get this, and I did too. I spent $70,000 on one patent. No, I could have gotten it done for a fraction. Point is, you really learn. Patent agents cost a lot less. That's what you learned today. Who needs a who or what? Who's looking for? We'll hook you up with patent agents. There's a couple here. Yes, Ruth.
I'm going to the licensing expo.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing one of my ideas,
yeah,
invention, and I'm looking for packaging.
Oh.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I heard, yeah, Karina and Jared.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything again.
Well, she's thinking you're offering to help her with packaging ideas because you had your own experience.
Yeah, the person we ended up hiring
Yeah.
is what mind-blowing.
And here in town, we do talk about Bob Green a number of times because his dad invented blister packaging. You go in his office, it's like the history of products. He's got thousands. Things that never even made it to market, but they were packaged. And there's some examples of it. Anyway, he's a great resource for you to get some help and suggestions. And he's up in Poway. That's Power Pack with a K at the end.
Okay.
All right. Who else is looking for a who, a what, a somebody, a something? Yes? Alberto, what you looking for?
I'm just wondering if anyone here is working on anything in software, app development, anything like that?
It's a subgroup. We have groups. Have you heard of the IEEE here in town?
No.
Okay, IEEE is the electronics and the software programming group here in town. A major network. They meet monthly at a pizza restaurant. They still meeting down there?
No, it closed. They have a new location.
Okay. Connect us and we'll connect you. And this is an amazing organization of professional engineers and programmers. And yeah, I'm surprised no one else is chirping up because there usually is a programmer or an app developer in here.
They're now meeting, I just spoke last month, they're meeting at Eva's Cantina on Mission Gorge Road.
Okay.
I just got the meeting notice. I think it's coming up in the next couple of weeks. Their next meeting will be.
I used to think, we used to be on the same day as today, but earlier in the day. Anyway, there's a fantastic group for that specifically. You bet.
Monday night. Monday night.
That's Monday. Okay, I should go. Roger, anyway. Who else is looking for a manufacturer, needs some parts sourced? We just had a great trade show here in town. It was the Electronics Design Manufacturing Show. Saw a few of you there. Thank you for coming by. There's some new products shown there as well. If any of you are looking or wondering what specific materials or manufacturing processes might be suitable for your product idea, because you don't know that stuff, Michelle does. That's her business, was Electrofab Services, and she represented over a dozen of the best parts manufacturers here in town, from rotomolds to injection molding to thermoforming to metals, to all of your manufacturing needs. So is anybody at a wondering spot about how to get their product made? I'll throw it out there, you might not have noticed, but there's a place in town called Maker Place. How many of you know Maker Place? Yay! Okay, you know. It's a great hobby shop, and you get all your tools and expertise there. And they'll show you how to use stuff if you don't already know. And they'll give you a space to work if you want to work. Any others? Okay, let's flip this around now. It's service providers. If you want to offer your service and can do it in a quick, short burst, we'd love to hear you offer your services. Who'd like to go? Grasnia, please, please, please.
My name is Grasnia. I do web design, so if you need the website to sell your product or just informational website, I could do it for you. The name of my company is Amber.LLC.
That's Amber.LLC. And very grateful, thank you very much, Rosie, for running the Inventors Forum website. Yay! Very cool. And Rosmu was referred to me by the gentleman that runs the IEEE. So, you know, we've got a great circle, great resources here in town. You stymied? You don't have it in mind right now? Will approach me personally anytime again on Thursdays. I do meet with you for free and just do just this. Figure out where you're at, where you're trying to go, how we can help you get it there, and connect you with people that we trust, we work with, and that's why we refer them. Any other service providers want to give a shout out right now? It means you're, you know what you are if you're a service provider. Okay. None? All right. I'll keep this moving then, because you know what comes next. The story is we need you. Okay? The rest of this whole section tonight is about what's going on in our world of patents and patent laws, how it's happening and shaping up. So I'm just going to go back and do a little history for you right now. This gentleman here, Randy Landry, who ran a great club in Florida, he started learning though about the American Invents Act and the problems it was causing. And at one point in March 2015, the American Invents Act already passed, but they were threatening Americans with another bill called H.R. 9. H.R. 9 was going to rip off the corporate veil, and your investor could be on the hook If your patent was challenged in the court and you lost, the expenses for your cases, they were going to pierce the corporate veil, break the anonymity rules, and go after your investor if you own 5% of the company. This law had already passed Congress, 370-something votes. Randy, in an emergency effort, called us group leaders, and a few of us flew in, just a few. It was the first time in American history inventors had actually come together to talk to Congress as a group. Until that time, in 10 years, Congress had never heard from anything from anybody other than the paid lobbyists. Who's paying the most for these lobbyists? Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. So the world in the last 10 years really went to their favor. All the way to the point where the last head of the patent office was the ex-head of Google IP. Was that a conflict of interest? Well, anyway, Randy called us in. We sat in front, we made enough of an impact that they actually tabled the bill. That was history changing to see something that had so much political force and movement get absolutely stopped dead because real people showed up. Okay? That was the start of this movement. I was quickly then introduced, thanks again to Warren, to this gentleman here, one of the greatest patriots you'd ever meet. This gentleman had a business selling mid-level software. He was involved with a $5 million licensing agreement. And one of the patent things that have changed recently is a law called ALICE, which stops you from getting patents on what's called an abstract idea. An abstract idea has never been defined, but generally they lumped everything that has to do with software and said it's an abstract idea. You can't patent just software here in the US. Everything that's software related that makes artificial intelligence work can't be patented here in the US right now. 48% of the investment is going to China now because they don't have these stupid rules. We've shot ourselves in the foot with the technology that's going to lead us into the next generation and make a world for our kids. We won't have control over that. We won't have a market in that. We have no share in that right now because our patent system sucks so bad. Anyway, Paul got caught in that, lost his business, lost that deal, got in his truck and went to Washington going, what's going on here? Well, who made this law? They said, we don't recognize you. You don't belong to a group. So he went home and made a little business card that said U.S. Inventor. And he has been on the path ever since. And this man is tireless in going to Washington and talking to these congressmen and debating with them. And he's become an absolute world's expert. He's standing toe-to-toe now in the world with the most leading attorneys talking about the laws and the changes. And he's a remarkable man. I'm so proud to have an association with him. Look, we started some protests. We went to Daryl Lice's office when he would publish where they were having these group meetings. He could publish them. It's difficult as it was to get some movement going, but we got a little bit of movement going here on the West Coast. We knew we had to get this building bigger, and so we created this petition, that we being U.S. Inventor, which I'm on the board, we created this petition hitting on what are the top 5 things we really can't stand right now. A patent trials and appeals board that's 3 judges that can take your patent away without a trial or a jury. Abstract idea, when you can't patent an MRI machine last year, an MRI machine could be patented because it ran off of software. Injunctive relief, they've changed the laws on how you can sue people now to the point where you have to prove you can almost outproduce the person who's infringing on you before you can get further in a case. They're actually saying that you, for public good, you have to show that you're equivalent to your infringer. This has created something now called efficient infringement. Because the process to get into one of these trials is only $20,000, but it costs you, the inventor, $500,000 to start on the defense. So it's cheaper for them to just knock you off knowing you probably don't have the money to defend yourself. And even if you do have the money, when it comes down to it, you can't win an award. What they'll do is give you a license, the courts will tell you to have a license agreement for basically less than market value. This is killing the incentive and taking away the rights for you to seek damages. The accelerated examination, you don't think that matters much. Well, frankly, most of you don't have an extra $5,000 to pay for that patent. Who does? The corporations. So who did that really go to help at the end? First inventor, first to file.
That's mine. I'm fighting for that one.
Daryl Issa stood right here, and I sat right there when he was promoting the American Invents Act. And he said, well, we have to standardize with the rest of the world because that's what we should be doing. And so we're going to change our file from first to invent to first inventor to file. And I stood up, I said, Daryl, why are we dumbing down our system? Now that's when we were number 1 in the world as far as the patent system goes. You know what we are today? We're 12th. And I'd love Daryl to sit here and answer us, why did we go from here to there? Because it was exactly what he was promoting. So what some examples of this are, there's a company right now that has a case going where they were doing something technological. It was going to take a long time to develop. They had to raise money. They went to a company that was publicly registered, and so it has SEC filings. As part of their SEC filing, they showed that they had made an investment in the startup. The startup hadn't even gotten anything to market yet, but the patent office sees the registration of that SEC as a notice of their invention. And they're saying that that is when that invention was filed, and so they lost their clock. You only have 1 year after something's been published to actually file for it. So unbeknownst to them, a filing from the company they got the investment money in screwed them out of getting a patent because this new ruling now, first to invent, has come over this. What was your case about this you wanted to mention? Was there a case?
There's no case, I'm just appalled.
It used to be you could keep a notebook, you could have a witness, you could make an argument. Not a lot of issues really came out of that. But what this has done now is change the mind of every one of you. I am so upset this year that I've had so many of you come in. I've had 4 of you this year alone. You can't even describe your idea. You're in tears because you're afraid I'm going to steal your idea. I got lifetimes of stuff I could be doing. I mean, my security clearances, etc. You know, if I don't get your trust, I don't know who can. The fact that this law has scared the crap out of so many inventors now because they come in my office going, well, I've been showing it off. I've been talking to people. Have you filed anything? No. You go to a computer, register $65, that's yours. And somebody's unscrupulous can do that to you. So now you have to have your NDAs, you have to have your provisional patents. You have to actually spend money on things that are unvetted just to talk about them to see if they have any value. And then you've got to file more because that first filing probably wasn't adequate enough to cover everything you're talking about. It has really turned, it's added a few layers of difficulty to the process. Anyway, we created this petition to bring up awareness, and the idea at this point was there were some national groups. We knew about the UIA, our group was USI, we knew about Edison Nation, but frankly they weren't really working together and talking together. And I'm very proud of the fact that, in fact, it was with Stephen's help, it was with Warren's help, it was with Lewis's help, that they all agreed if we don't start doing something here, we're all going to be out of business, and there won't be any inventing going on in the US. So I was very proud when we actually got the groups together. This is the first time, again, in the world's history, our country's history, that the inventor groups, and this is the top level national groups, they got together to support this petition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that was a huge move to see that we could finally bring one level together. Now, there's another level, it's our group. We'll get there. So the petition only got around 3,500 votes, and we're realizing, look, nobody knows about this. You all know about the Kardashians having a baby last week. You all know about whatever the celebrity scandal is of the week. But you don't know that the country's going to, you know what, because, and your kids are going to lose the right to prosper from the labors of their mind because our patent system has changed so dramatically. So we decided to do something dramatic as well. We decided to show up and burn our patents in the front of the patent office. This is the patent office here. Because as many of us here in this group can attest, these have become liabilities. Somebody for $20,000 starts a case against you in IPR or review, and you've got to come up with $500,000. This is a liability. This gentleman right here had patents on thin film technology and got over 300 of his claims rejected by PTABs that had no jury, no trial, and it was started by a company that just wanted to squash him. This gentleman here, you've heard about Paul Malone, maybe, maybe not. How many of you been to Costco and gotten the weapons of the balloons toy? Bunch of 100 water balloons.
Bunch of balloons.
Bunch of balloons.
Josh Malone.
Josh Malone. Well, Josh did a very successful Kickstarter campaign, raised nearly $1 million. The very day he did, Telebrand saw that on Kickstarter and decided to knock him off. Mm-hmm. He has now spent, and this is a balloon product. This is one of the most popular toys lately. But here's a family man with 8 kids, thought he was making a great things that his family could live on and a legacy and all of this. And he has personally spent $20 million in the last 2 years defending his patents because he was knocked off unjustly. Every time he went in court, the PTABs would come back and invalidate the court decisions. He's only just recently started to win some of these cases. He is our poster boy of what's wrong with the patent system right now, and he is the champion and star of a new show that's coming up. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. So again, we decided to, well, excuse me, we became aware that this Supreme Court case last November was going to talk about fracking and the product being knocked off by green energy and what it all amounted to. And what was at stake was just this, that it said that to promote science and useful arts by securing limited times, the exclusive right, that's the only place in the Constitution the word right is even used, is right here telling us as inventors we have the rights to our ideas. Now, in King George times, you didn't have the rights to anything. If you did really great, you got a seat at the table or something. But that's why the forefathers came here. A big reason was, gee, we've got great ideas. You know, maybe if we incentivize people to do things, we can have a great nation. And it was, and it did. And so we went in November, and we protested. This slogan here, you need to remember that, folks. Judges have been saying it. It's absolutely true. Our U.S. patent system was the greatest job creation engine in the history of mankind. And we've destroyed it. Our politicians, being lobbied by the companies that now have the rights to, have destroyed our system. So, we went November 27th, we protested, we held our signs, we had as much coverage as we could, and I've been involved with these things called amherst briefs. This is where we get experts telling the court systems, you know, why our industry really needs these decisions made a certain way. And our U.S. inventor, again, we came up with another movement, and we even authored a bill. And that bill is pending. We hope we can get some traction on it. There's actually 3 bills now pending for inventors. We had grown from the 3 to, in January, there was 10 of us. And this is an active lobbying effort. We go into the Congress or Senator's office and we talk to their staffers or the person themselves, and we tell them, we're inventors, here's our point of view, this is what's hurting, this is how it's hurting our economy. We're starting to get a little more attention to it. What happened here recently was another very, very historic event, and very much thanks to Warren and the United Inventors Association for coordinating a group meeting in Washington, D.C. with the U.S. Patent Office. If some of you remember me talking recently, the Patent Office just changed leadership. They got rid of Michelle Lee a few months after she should have left anyway. And then they brought on a fellow named Director Iancu, who has started speaking more in the terms that we'd like to hear, such as the system can't remain this way, things do have to change. We started seeing the indications from the top leaders at the Patent Office that they realized things aren't right. They had heard about it, they'd seen our protests, and these things were becoming known. Thanks to Warren and U.S. Inventor and the new group that's been formed, Stephen Key helped us form this Inventors Groups of America. We're 40 groups strong now across this country. There is now a national community, a union of our clubs. You inventors, you now have a voice through us, through this group and what we're doing in Washington. We will not stand by and watch our country go to hell because our past representatives were bought out. We will stand up, we will make bills, we will get the congressmen behind us, and we are doing that, in fact. So, the conference was an amazing success. We had the top representatives from the Patent Office on the first day talking to us. I was very pleased to speak with great speakers talking about the problems and the solutions that we see there. This is, again, from January 1 to 10 to this is the 40 of us here 2 weeks ago. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your community representing you in Washington, D.C. now, for the first time in American history.
Thank you.
Okay, so to that end, I am very pleased and honored. I was recognized. This is the Marketing Institute 2018 Innovation Leadership Award for helping getting this together as much as I did. I really should have donated it to you.
No, Adrian, well deserved.
And there's a lot more work to do, obviously, because this. Now, when you think of it, okay, we've got the Patent Office that's willing to work with us. They're talking to us about what's wrong. They want to help. We've got Congress now. We've got about 90. We went to 30 offices in that one day. 90% of them were on our side. Out of that 90%, 20 were like, a patent? What's that? The only couple offices that really gave us a pushback was Feinstein's office. But then again, look what community she lives in. Again, she should be wearing the Google patch like sponsors. Anyway, this is
California.
Yeah, northern in San Francisco area. last month we had the person running for ISIS spot here. He is a patent attorney himself. He's pro-patents.
Awesome.
Even though he's running as a Republican for ISIS spot.
That's great.
Yeah, we're seeing the change, we're seeing the moves, but it's not over, folks. We're going to need your support. That means money, that means letters, that means flying out there, that means anything you can absolutely do. Yes, my friend.
Who is our enemy?
Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon. It's called the GAFA Mafia. They've actually patented everything that you could think of, and they've stopped all the other inventors from patenting anything that you can think of. And if you dare to come to market, they'll find a way to squish you now. They're the four worst.
And they created the term patent troll.
Yeah, exactly.
Patent troll.
An amazing job marketing that.
Right. A patent troll was a terminology that this group came up with to make impression in the minds of the Congress that maybe weren't passing 8th grade level, I guess.
Yeah.
That this entity that's a non-producing entity, meaning any of you that have no marketing department or no manufacturing or hoping to get a license, you are a non-producing entity. You are a troll. You are bad, you're evil, because when the companies that are big come to market, you ask them for your fair share of your royalties, and they think that's destroying their business. Yes, Google, Apple, Facebook, and Amazon are afraid of you suing them for an idea. And so they created this patent troll initiative, and that actually it was like a virus. Everybody fell for it. Oh, I'm afraid of a troll coming out of nowhere. It's all fake. Get it? This is all BS. So anyway, let's wrap this up so you can go home on maybe a happier note. Look, there is a movie coming out that Josh Malone is a big star in. I've got a piece or two. The Tea Party produced it, but the point is I was offered today for you guys to see a preview of it. It's a 50-minute movie. I can get that in here next month. How many of you want to see this movie? Okay, look up the trailer. The trailer is shredded, the destruction of the U.S. patent system, or unprotected, the shredding of the U.S. patent system. And some of the greatest brains and heads, and I don't know, I got in there. But anyway, there's those amazing people talking about invention and innovation and how that made the country great and how we need to have that incentive, because if we don't, we're a third world nation and we're already losing it to China in so many areas. So check this movie. I'll see about setting it up for next month, okay?
Didn't you post the link to the trailer on the Inventors Forum?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a new one out that has more of Josh Malone in it. And it's so sad because there he shows his family. You see the process, you see the knockoff. Okay, well, look, I do this for a living because I can't get a job. No. I have had many jobs. I like doing this. I like inventing. To me, the greatest feeling in the world is accomplishing what was just a fantasy of my mind, and now it's actually a working thing. So that's my root enjoyment. And second to that is giving back and helping you and coaching you. How many of you have been in my office and we've talked for at least an hour? And you're all welcome back. The whole idea there is I do like to be a resource for you to look, if your idea, I don't mind being the rocky shores your idea crashes on, to be honest. I've saved a lot of you a lot of money with a little dose of reality here and there, were a few good suggestions on where you should not spend money or where you can go next. So anyway, it's still a great way to make this country great, to make your life great, to create a legacy, all these things. It's a matter of pride, accomplishment, patriotism, whatever you want to call it. Let's go back to patriotism. So that's the whole thing here. Thank AMN Healthcare here again for having us. Thank you, thank you. My business again is A Squared Technologies. If you're wondering how to get a product to where it's showable, I have a product development plan. It's a spreadsheet that goes two parts of it. First part is how to make the product, and I give you all the buzzwords. And it's a spreadsheet. It's not on there. It's a spreadsheet, so it's an Excel format. So when you're done, you've got a project plan, project roster, some goals. Second half of the spreadsheet is how you're going to present it. What are the steps and the little parts you need to get a good presentation together. Put all that together, you've gone from, I just had an idea, to now I have a working model, and I know how I'm going to present it. That's called the new product development plan. Happy to share that with the United Inventors Association here soon. And I thank you very much, and we will see you next month.
Andrea says hi to her second favorite inventor.
Tell her I say hi to my
She's still in Vegas.
Tell her I say hi to my second biggest fan. Thank you. And
Check it out.